Hello everyone and welcome to CodeDev's first ever webinar. Good evening, mayong gabi, magandang gabi sa lahat. I hope everyone is in full swing. This is your host, Nigel, and again, welcome to CodeDev's first ever webinar. By the way, to start this off with lots of energy, can I please request in the chat box? Could you give me an exclamation mark para naman we would know if you are all ready and up for this webinar? All right, there you go. Appreciate it a lot. Yun. Grabe. I love the energy that our participants are sharing with us. Again, we appreciate your support in CodeDev's advocacy for the dev community and accelerating workplace, or rather transformation, improving agility via digitalization, gaining a competitive edge, and transcending tech disruptions into breakthrough innovations. So a few reminders lang to make this session more engaging. So we'll be focusing maybe around 30 to 45 minutes of the time for the speaker to discuss his topic, which will be followed naman by a question and answer portion. So while he is discussing, feel free lang to key in your questions sa chat box para we can tackle it later on. So again, if you have any questions along the way, feel free lang to chat so that we can revisit it later and our speaker would love to discuss it further. And by the way, quick survey lang din. Can you type in sa chat box if where you're currently tuning in para we get to see then where you're currently located. Para in a way, we can give you then a quick shout out. So paki-type nga po if where you're currently tuning in. So we have Tristan from Cebu, Paul from, wow, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Vincent or Clyde from Davao, Ornel Palawan, Gilbert Cavite, Rachel from Davao as well, Jasper Cavite, Angie Cebu, Eugene QC, Alvin Tanza. Not sure kung saan tong Tanza, maybe a place, um, specific place. Thermosissima, Moalboal, Jevon, Binyan, Laguna, Balag, Cebu, and so on and so forth. All right. For the interest of time, di ko na mabasa lahat to, but thank you. Thank you once again for joining us. Glad to see folks here all around the Philippines and maybe all around the globe because I saw earlier rather that we have also a part of the audience here from Malaysia. So, are you ready? Are you ready to learn something new from this session? Can you type Y as in yes if you are ready and excited to learn from our speaker tonight? Paki-type nga po ng Y as in yes. Ayun, perfect. So I bet everyone is excited and up and running for tonight's topic. Now to start off, in this fast-paced and highly competitive industry, alam naman natin no, na medyo competitive na talaga yung industry natin ngayon. Knowing how to maximize AI-driven development tools is a must. Would you agree? I bet everyone agrees. That is why exploring cutting-edge tools, techniques, and insights is the way to supercharge your dev projects. With this, allow me to introduce our speaker for tonight. So our speaker is a multi-certified technical leader with more than 12 years of technical experience in multiple industries. He loves playing around cutting-edge technologies like cloud, DevOps, and machine learning, but he's also a developer by heart. He's also a speaker and has spoken to tech conferences, loves reading technical, business non-fictional books, and he's also been a leader to different large enterprise companies like EY and Fujitsu. So maybe may met from EY din, Fujitsu, baka may mga ex-colleagues dito, yung speaker natin. So feel free to chat din sa chat or key in sa chat box. So as I was saying, so he came, or rather he went, or rather he had leadership stints rather in companies like EY and Fujitsu, bringing in experience in DevOps, SRE, and cloud in general. Interestingly, yung speaker natin tonight is also a rockista. So mahilig siya sa mga rock. He's also from a band daw before and he plays the drums as well. So without further ado, discussing with us the topic AI-driven development tools, a game changer for remote devs. Please help me welcome CodeDev's Head of Engineering, Clyde Burgos. Hi, Clyde.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Nigel. Hey, thank you so much for everybody who came here and did really took a chance to participate. This is the first step. You know that the interest in joining actually tells something that you are like in the right path. You're learning stuff. You wanted to be engaged. You wanted to make sure that your career is up there. And yep, this is a very good job for you. So yep, I'm Clyde. I'm the engineering manager and head of engineering here in CodeV. I've been a developer for a while now. I did wear different hats, but basically at heart, I'm still a developer. So I'm gonna share my screen now so you'll know what topic we will be discussing. Maybe a little bit. Oh, hold on. Did I share the correct screen? Hold on. I'll reshare.
Sure, go ahead, Clyde.
Yep. Can you see the correct presentation at the moment? I hope so.
Yes, I'm good on my
Okay.
end, Clyde. And maybe you can
See.
also ask from the participants to type Y if they
Oh
can
yeah,
see it
yeah.
as well.
Can
All right.
somebody confirm?
It seems it's confirmed, Clyde. There you go. You can now take the virtual floor, Clyde.
Okay, thank you so much. Team, I'd really love to see some hands here. If you could raise your hand, like raise your virtual hand. Did anybody of you no, no, that's it. What I mean is like, have you used AI before? Anybody? Okay, one, two, three. So far, we've got like three hands, at least four. So okay, pretty much majority of us have used AI. But more specifically, how about using AI in your software development? If you're a software developer, by the way, this is open event. If you're not a developer, it's fine. But just wondering, have you used any AI tools in your software development tasks? Anybody? Raise your virtual hands. One, two, okay. Three, four. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay, so because this is our topic, mainly how developers can improve the productivity. So the topic is AI-driven development tools, a game changer for remote devs. But there's a little kind of unique there, remote devs. Although I'm not saying that like non-remote developers are should not use AI by by no means. So there's just a little advantage if you're like a remote developer. No, because pandemic came in, remote developers um have to find ways to communicate with their colleagues better, especially that we cannot meet in the office. So this also kind of help. The AI tools actually help a lot as well. Um, Especially right now that our global landscape is still remote, although we are okay now. Thank God for that. That we are not back to kind of the normal ways, but a lot of us are still doing remote job or remote work. So moving forward, software development tools. So basically, software development tools, no, like software development in general is quite it's quite a new field. However, it's also not that new. Once Charles Babbage, Turing, when they kind of built the computer, the patent for the computer, and then basically programmers also came in, like Ada Lovelace. Perhaps some of you might not have known these names. So of course, the computers have their own tasks, and programmers, us, actually are responsible for building or solving problems that can be solved through computers, like calculations, any sort of like research, and etc., processing information pretty much. And that means that a lot of us are using different tools like IDEs, perhaps, etc. But of course, no, with the time before, like many decades before, their tools are different compared to what we have right now. So if we move on, we have Emacs, 1970s, uh, hardcore terminal programming. And then there's still some remnants of that right now. We're still doing like terminals as we speak. I myself are using I use terminal for my DevOps work and some command line because sometimes it's easier to just to type your commands. It's sometimes it also looks cool in a way. And then so from Emacs we have Vim, or this one is called Vi because probably it's kind of an old version. So right now Vim is still available, still being used at the moment. Anybody of you is using Vim? Can you raise your hand? Oh, cool. Si Alvin de la Cruz, si Alvin de la Cruz, and si Ornel Edano is also using Vim. I would say that like actually, I know people that use Vim. I don't use Vim. When I see them like really typing and using terminal, they really look like hackers. It's really cool, by the way. It's just kudos to these people. So of course, no, we have um command line interfaces. We wanted to write commands. We wanted to basically communicate or talk to the computer to execute us to execute commands as I said. So I think and I believe that software companies during the early days found an opportunity to say, hey, it takes time to type stuff. So why not provide our developers a way to speed up their process, speed up their tasks. That's why, in 1997, Microsoft created Microsoft Visual Studio. So basically now you have a GUI, you have GUI to basically click on stuff, drag stuff, and then right click and, set parameters or set properties, etc. And then you can write your code on it. So I would say that even then, by the way, even then, even if Visual Studio came out, that did not prevent it, or that did not stop users from using Vim. As again, as we speak right now, Vim is still being used. But even so, like we have a newer way right now, which is Visual Studio. I personally use Visual Studio. I used Visual Studio around 2008. Um, I haven't seen the 1997 in action version, and right now I'm still using Visual Studio 2022. So raise your hands if you are using Visual Studio in any way, Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio right now. Oh, a lot. Of course, Visual Studio Code is one of the most popular, if not the most popular one. Good job, good job. And then we have Sublime. Anybody of you is also using Sublime? Very good, Gilbert. So Sublime is for front end. A lot of the front end people that I know are using Sublime, React, Angular, Python. Sometimes people that use Python also use Sublime. So after that, Sublime came out. Sublime is pretty lightweight. That's also one of the things probably that kind of made it a little bit popular with developers. And then nowadays, the recent times, we have Visual Studio Code and then GitHub Copilot. So although GitHub Copilot is not an IDE, I just wanted to mention this because when Visual Studio came out and then when GitHub Copilot came out, it became really like a big phenomenon. No, so using GitHub Copilot as an extension in Visual Studio Code is just tremendous in many ways. So maybe raise your hand if you're using GitHub Copilot. Anybody did invest on this one because this is not free. See Eugene, see RL using GitHub Copilot. Perfect. So two of our participants are using GitHub Copilot. So yeah, amazing job. You're investing in this productivity tool. Moving forward, so we talked about IDE first. Oh, also Victor, thank you for raising your hand. So we have IDE first, and now we're talking about knowledge base. So this is where we get the information. If we have a problem, we go there and we try to get the answers from our question. Way back, old school, books and paper publications. This is the best way to get information. So if you have a problem that you need solved, you have to go to the library. Probably talk to a friend that has that particular book, or maybe hopefully your university has it. So maybe some of you are still doing this. I personally do this. I still read books, by the way. I still have that kind of attitude to to continually like ingest information, not just from the internet, but also from books. So who among you here is a fan of technology-based tech books? Can you raise your hand? Anybody? Wow, si Liante, si Lancer, John Garcia. Perfect, perfect. I actually am thinking of picking up one of my books here. Hold on. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is actually one of my favorite books. I'm not sure if you've read of this. The Mythical Man Month. Anybody of you have read this? It's not visible. For me, this is one of the top 5 books that I would recommend. So, okay. Thank you so much for that. Again, kudos to you if you're still reading books. They're really, really still valuable. In fact, if you can look into those very widely known, popular books, read them. Clean Code, this one, the Mythical Man Month, um, the likes of the Pragmatic Programmer, Code Complete, those stuff are, I would say, they're ageless. Read them if you like, or if you have time and if you have funds for that. So that's the first like approach, right? Like knowing and getting information and getting knowledge from books. And then when the internet blew up, so we have chat groups, pretty much the Usenet news groups and then IRC where people actually talk and post questions and then people will also respond and answer to those questions. So kind of old, in a way, somewhat like a primitive way to acquire information, right? Basically, right now, what we're doing with open source, it's kind of something like that, but in that way, it's a little bit primitive because, of course, chat groups can be of different use, not just for coding. And then for me, this is really one of the best, I would say, one of the best things that have happened in the development industry, Stack Overflow. Anybody, if you're still using Stack Overflow right now, raise your hands. Stack Overflow. Are you still using it? Still using it, even with the AI revolution. Stack Overflow is still viable. It still holds so many answers from so many questions. If you can remember way back, although they kind of disabled a lot of stuff, Stack Overflow, if you have a profile, you actually have like badges, and then you have like gold, silver badges, and then you have points. I personally have a profile in Stack Overflow. I did spend some time in answering questions there. So, yeah. And then after that, we had ChatGPT. This did really revolutionize everything. 2023, I believe, although it started a little bit earlier, but 2023, I really saw just the tremendous amount of impact of AI and particularly ChatGPT in not just in software development, by the way, but also in all of the industries. So because AI before is centralized within big companies, it's not something that a lot of us have access to. But through ChatGPT, AI became it became a common commodity, perhaps. Like if it's like a general purpose thing, like everybody has access to it. Like cell phones. Before cell phones, when it came out, it was not available for everybody, but it became a common thing. It became something that a lot of people have access to. So just like ChatGPT. So here, I would even say that personally, even if sometimes I go to Stack Overflow, but most of the time I go to ChatGPT, and if I have a specific question or problem to ask. And now since the ChatGPT blew up, there are also like pretty much there's a lot of scary, like scary predictions of AI, right? So, and especially in the software development in tech world. So we have job displacement. AI automates coding tasks, leading to potential loss of software developer jobs. So that's true. It's something that's a little bit worrying. And especially if you've heard of that company called Cognition. Anybody have heard about Cognition? Raise your hands. Cognition. Devin AI. Anybody if you heard of that? A couple of you, yeah. So if you are not aware of what Cognition built, they claim that they have created the first software engineer, or sorry, the first AI software engineer called Devin. Basically, what they claim is that at the maybe in the very near future, there will be lesser and lesser jobs for us software developers. And that's compelling, right? That's shocking. So what they claim is that I saw the demo myself. Um, they were able to answer problems that were posted in Upwork, and then they can and then Devin AI can actually solve and debug problems in Python. So let's see. No, so that's one of the biggest kind of scary predictions. Next is creativity undermined. Reliance on AI reduces human innovation and creativity in software development. Mid-Journey, when it came out, it generates images. You put a prompt, generates pictures. Sora, basically Sora is on the next level. If you've heard about Sora, that's so now we have Midjourney that generates images. Sora generates videos. Imagine the potential. Imagine how much impact will that be for Midjourney. Our UI UX designers, our graphic designers felt scared because eventually, people will not go out and look for them for these graphic designers. They just go to Midjourney, and then they can just basically type in, and voila, they have their they have their own image now. And then you have Sora. So what could that be, or what impact could that have on Netflix, on Disney, on bigger like companies that produces movies, etc., right? It's really just crazy. And then, of course, no, there's ethics and bias. So bias and ethics and lack of ethics amplified in code written by AI systems. And of course, ethics in like how did Sora generate such, accurate videos? Where did they get the videos from? How did they train their models? So that's actually one of the bigger news that came out when Sora came out. And then you have your security risks. AI system have vulnerabilities that can be exploited, leading to security risks. So of course, if we can, like if AI can be used through good things, that doesn't mean that it can't be used on bad things. No, people can survey you using AI. Worst comes to worst, AI can impersonate you and perhaps act as if you are the person and might do something and to damage your identity. But if you think about it, the actual impact of AI is actually, accelerating development and growth and better career opportunities. Why? Well, if you think about it again, one of the analogy that we think about this is that um, like the cell phones came out. So the first thing that we thought about is that cell phones will eliminate telephones, like the actual landline. It's still right there. Like it didn't totally replace it. It's still there. It's just that there's a sort of like enhancement. So efficiency gain. So basically, there's just some sort of efficiency gain using AI. So one is for developers, efficiency gains. AI can automate repetitive and mundane coding tasks to boost productivity. This is just my opinion. Um, Devin will not replace developers. Devin will not replace us programmers, but it might replace programmers that are not using AI. No, so especially if you're not using AI and you just really wanted to be, I just wanted to be hardcore. I just wanted to go and research stuff and go to Google, etc., etc. Perhaps, yeah, you'll have this advantage for developers who have access to these tools. Next is enhanced creativity. AI tools can assist human developers with creative tasks like ideation and design. So before, you have to think a lot, you have to draw on a paper, you have to ideate a lot by yourself. It's good. It's good. But through the help of AI, you can actually have somebody, in a way, kind of somebody to talk to you and ideate together. You try to prompt something on ChatGPT. Hey, I need some ideas about this. As opposed to you researching that yourself, you go to the internet trying to get some inspirations. You can go to ChatGPT and ask for, what are the most common designs of, like a loft or like a two-story house, as opposed to you doing that your own, doing the researching. You can just ask AI to do that for you through ChatGPT, and then you do the actual creative task and not do the researching part. Skill augmentation. AI can provide personalized learning recommendations to help developers gain new skills. This is a very important thing for me. For example, you are a Python developer, you are a JavaScript developer, or for example, a Node developer, and then you really wanted to be an expert on that one. That's fantastic, by the way. Be an expert on that one. But if you stick to that particular role and um you did not what do you call this? You did not pick up a different skill, and you are not versatile, there might be negative implications in the future. So as developers, we need to be very dynamic. We need to be fluid. We need to pick up new skills really swiftly. AI can actually help us in building those pathways and career paths. What it can suggest us what specific skill sets we might have to pick up in conjunction or on top of what we already have. For example, if you're a back-end developer, in most cases, you would probably wanted to be a full stack developer, right? Like you wanted to be complete. So if you are a Python developer, sorry, if you are a Node.js developer, you would have picked up React or Angular and move forward if you wanted to do DevOps. This stuff you can actually get from using AI tools. You can go to roadmap.sh. You can there's actually an AI tool there where you can type in what career path you would like to pick up, and then it will generate a set of branching technologies that you need to pick up. They will advise you what to do with your, like, yeah, this is the pathway you need to take. You need to train on this, learn this stuff, etc., etc. Lastly, demand for AI developers. Of course, no. One thing that we need to do as well is that since AI is really blowing up, then perhaps we need to learn AI ourselves. If you're a backend developer, you might wanted to be a data scientist or like pick up data science and data engineering tasks, because again, I tell you, AI won't be possible without data. When AI blows up, or really just drives the our industry, they need data engineers, because AI needs like AI sorry a data engineer. So perhaps you wanted to take up data, and of course, if you wanted to be an AI developer yourself, you wanted to train your own models, etc., etc., that's also one thing. Okay, I wanted to pause for a while and perhaps ask our viewers. And Nigel, by the way, I can see the chat group for some reason. Perhaps if you can check it. Team, any questions so far? Any questions, like anything that you wanted to ask before we move forward?
Yeah, sure, I can help, Clyde. Yeah, everyone, please key in. Feel free to key in your questions. If may mga tanong kayo that you'd like to be tackled by the speaker, please feel free to do so. But while we are waiting, I'm seeing here some like chats from other folks, like from Ornel. Sabi niya, I hate it. Maybe this is from the slide earlier.
Yep,
Yung ata sa ano, yung sa parang may IDS something. Also from Victor as well, I think from the same slide that sabi niya, there are better ways instead of using Vim. Then sabi niya yung kanina, yung parang you mentioned earlier, Clyde, yung parang software tool ata or AI tool na may bayad. Pero sabi ni RL, may free naman for students.
yep,
Ayun, may mga
that's
questions
good.
na. Ayun, we
Go.
have here from Liante. So her or his question, Clyde, is what's the best free daw na AI tool besides ChatGPT? So may mga ano pa ba other free AI tool, Clyde, na maybe you
Yep.
can recommend?
Yeah, I'm gonna entertain that question, like just that question, one question for now. So we will have a different session later on to go and really delve into questions. So before I go on to the next topic, so the first, so the let me answer to that initial, like, I hate it. Probably the context of that one is the thought of Devin, that us gonna be like us developers will be replaced by what do you call this, like an AI hopefully not sentient, no, but like an AI tool that will that will be replacing developers. So I really don't think that we are going to be replaced.
Mm.
But we just need to upskill a lot. And to answer Lian, so I've actually used a free AI tool, a free AI um, productivity tool that is um, installed on my Visual Studio called Codium. So the spelling is, hold on, let me do a notepad here. So spelling is Codium. Search for that. They're free, by the way. I believe they're all always free. There's just some reasons why I did not opt for that for now. But this is something that you could think about, and probably this is something that you will consider. I did not use Codium up I didn't I stopped using Codium because I believe they are also looking into your code. So because machine learning needs a lot of data. So I believe Codium will read through your code and perhaps use your code to train their models. That's fine if you're like if your company that you're working with isn't really particular with that, but Codev is very specific and very conscious of that because we have clients. We wanted to protect their code base, so we're not gonna be. So we stopped using Codium and we use GitHub Copilot because, by the way, if you're using GitHub Copilot, and for those who have used, it actually has an option to opt out. So when you register, there's a button or like a checkbox. They're saying that do you want um or do you kind of like accept if GitHub Copilot access your code and use it on the training? Like, no. So you have at least an option. I believe that's the reason why some of the tools are free. It's probably because they're using your code. So you need to think of that. I'm not saying, by the way, that's bad. Again, it just really it just depends on your use case. If your company is fine with that, then for sure go for that. But if not, then you might want to consider investing in GitHub Copilot. It's 500 or 500, sorry, 550 pesos for us. If you are a professional, I would say that's not that much, no? If you really wanted to really kill it in your job. Okay? So all the rest of the questions na lang, Nige, will be discussed later if others have
Yes,
questions.
sure. Sure, Clyde.
Okay, so thank you, by the way, for the questions and for the comments. Please keep it going. We will read that through later on. So let's now go to the common challenges. Again, I wanted to focus on remote developers here. Common challenges from remote developers, pre-generative AI time. Well, obviously, number one, isolation. No, isolation in remote work, lack of immediate support or feedback, and lack of people to collaborate or discuss or discuss ideas or share problems with. So probably a lot of you are remote developers, and especially if you're only the one, like you're the only developer in your team, or like if you're a freelance, most of the case you're alone. You're the one, like you're the only one who's working with your clients. So it can be, especially if you're not used to it, it's difficult. You will feel alone. You don't have it. You don't have access to people. You don't have anyone to ask questions with. It's really difficult. Like if you have a problem and you can't like you can't find an answer, then you go to the internet and etc etc. So it's difficult. It's really different if you have like perhaps a senior developer in your team that you can talk to in your office. It's really different. Next is coding inefficiency. Finding solutions for day-to-day tasks are oftentimes time-consuming and can be difficult. Even today, as we speak, this is a part of our job, by the way, solving problems, building algorithms, building workflows on our methods and our functions. It's something that we do every day. And before pre-gen, as I mentioned earlier, we go to Stack Overflow. But Stack Overflow does not have all the answers, right? Like Stack Overflow is just a library, it's just an inventory of problems and answers that people have asked. what if although it could be very unique, no, that it's probably your problem has been already experienced by somebody else, but there are cases that maybe your problems are really that unique. So, that can be a problem. And then of course, no, like there could be better way to code a specific function. And right now, if you are not that senior yet, you probably don't know if your code is clean enough and is optimized enough. And then we have knowledge gaps. So what is this knowledge gap? So knowledge gaps, staying updated with rapidly evolving technologies and programming languages. I can't stress more. Every 3 to 6 months, there's something new. JavaScript frameworks. Like there was actually a time when a JavaScript framework is born like every day. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before, but there's actually a website that I've remembered a lot from I think a couple of years ago, where they post every new JavaScript framework just goes out there, and it's like in every hour there's a new JavaScript framework. It's just crazy. So our industry is just so fast. It's just very rapidly moving. How can you keep up? That's a big challenge. So basically, here are potential solutions that AI could provide you. With the isolation problem in remote work, in remote work, we have something called virtual pair programming. Introduction of AI-driven tools that act as virtual colleagues, offering suggestions and assistance in real time. So what you can use here is ChatGPT or Find. So to answer to the earlier question, what are other alternatives from ChatGPT? You can use Find. Find is very developer-centric. It's free. ChatGPT, of course, they have you have like AI assistants, but you have to pay for that. Well, Find is something that I kind of wanted to utilize more. And then of course Gemini, I believe Gemini also has that. But for me, Find is something that's more find.com if you wanted to check that one out. It's developer centric. This one I do a lot. For example, I need to build something because I'm currently doing the research and development right now in CodeDev. I do a lot of research, and my pair is actually ChatGPT. I basically ask situational questions, and ChatGPT will tell me some suggestions about the topic. Say, for example, hey, I need to build something with this and this and this and this. What are your recommendations? ChatGPT just scans through its large database and tells you, hey, according to our industry, this is the best path forward. It's just really an amazing tool. Automated feedback systems, automated feedback systems. Utilization of AI to provide immediate feedback on code quality, security vulnerabilities, and performance issues. So this one, this is also something that you might have to invest. A lot of like bigger companies might be a bit different. Here in CodeDev, we're using Sonar Cloud. We've invested in this tool where this tool reads through our code base, and every time we create a pull request, it just reads through it and then provides you a comment that, hey, this is an unoptimized code. Hey, this is a wrong way of use of a for loop, and hey, this is slow, etc., etc. It actually will create an automatic pull request on your code base. And then some other CES SCA tool. So this is static code analysis tooling. So these are like tools that will read through your code base and tell you that there are vulnerabilities. For example, if you've exposed your API keys or your connection strings, that is a big no in terms of security. Coding inefficiency, automated code generation. So number one, this is something that's what, for me, this is one of the kind of main meat of ChatGPTs and GitHub Copilot. Like code generation. For me, this is a lot, because if you would like to write a function, or if you would like to write a big class, then you'll have to code it manually. But with code generation, just tell them the instruction and then they will generate the class for you. How fantastic is that? So this is a discussion on how AI tools can accelerate the development process by generating boilerplate code, for sure. Documentation, for sure, because of course, sometimes we have to build documentation or like at least, code comments about the code. So if somebody would like to use your code base, there is description that they can follow. And even complex code snippets. So GitHub Copilot and then Codium. And then we also have Find, intelligent debugging tools, exploration of AI systems capable of identifying bugs and suggesting fixes based on the context of the code and similar known issues. So this is GitHub Copilot, Codium, and etc. This is something that I would suggest that you install in your IDE because it will have a context of your code base. For the knowledge gaps, adaptive learning learning platforms, how AI-driven platforms offer personalized learning experiences, recommend resources. So basically, as I've said earlier, there are tools out there and websites that offer AI assistance for your learning paths. Again, let me, if you could go here, check this one out. You can go to this website and see what it does. It will provide you a roadmap of your technical, like where you are right now as a developer and what skills you would love or you might have to pick up to what do you call this, to advance in your career. So check that one out. And then lastly, code examples and the documentation. So again, we have GitHub Copilot, Amazon Whisper. By the way, I haven't used code Whisper, but yeah, these are just a couple of like the AI, generative AI in particular, can solve in software development. Any questions? Just one question. If not, then I'll move on to the next.
Maybe we can entertain one question earlier, Clyde. Is that okay?
Go.
Yeah, finding ayun. So from Tristan Paulo, so sabi niya, is there any other free alternative to GitHub Copilot?
Yep, Codium, as I mentioned
Ayun.
earlier. Yep, Codium. It's just the same. GitHub Copilot, the kind of the relevant differences and advantages of GitHub Copilot is that since GitHub Copilot is more and kind of widely used, there are more feedback from developers. The more feedback, the better it gets, right? So that's the advantage. It has more features because again, because a lot of people are using it, then the more feedback the GitHub team can get, then the better the solution is right now. So yeah, Codium is free forever, I believe. Okay, so
Ayun.
now, sorry, go on,
Ah,
Nigel. All good?
sabi ko lang, Clyde, na yun. Yes, go ahead, Clyde.
Yep. Okay, so I guess it would not be that interesting if there's no demo. So AI demo at the moment. So AI is transforming software development in many ways, not replacing but enhancing contribution. So I'm gonna be sharing. I'm just not sure. Hold on. I'm not. I'm gonna try to share my. Can you see my code right now?
Yep, I
Yeah.
can see it on my end, Clyde.
Perfect. So
And for the rest, feel free to chat then Y as in yes, if you can see it as well, para we can make sure na you're seeing it on your end. Ayun. Perfect. So I guess
uh,
they can all see it, Clyde.
perfect. So let me try an example here. So I'm gonna start first with ChatGPT. By the way, this is a paid version. Although you can still do it on the free version, it's just that there's more accuracy. One of the kind of my day-to-day job again is doing research and development, and like this is something that I often do, and that means that I need to build some workflows, some systems, and yeah, I can definitely like do my own research, and perhaps I can just get an idea from my experience, based from my memory, but sometimes, like it takes time. So one of the things that I actually do is I ask ChatGPT to share some ideas on how to build a specific software. So, for example, um, as a CTO of an HCM SaaS company, provide at least 5 main modules um, on talent acquisition domain. Then provide brief details and about it, and then provide a brief reason why they are important. Lastly, suggest the database structure, including tables and columns. So imagine if like I have a client and I'm a freelancer and my freelancer wanted me, hey, Clyde, I wanted you to build an applicant management system or like a job board management system right away. Without AI, I would have probably done a lot of research, go to Google and try to kind of collect all the information that I have, and then I will put it somewhere like a document, and I'm going to read through that. But right now, since we have ChatGPT, what I would just do is write this. Then I would assume that basically you'll have some sort of like idea on what you can build. So, there's just so much advantage in having access to these types of tooling. It's just really a matter of how you use it and your use case. Again, in my experience, because I'm doing research and development and I'm also building systems, then this is something that I would do. Instead of me doing research, I mean, yes, you should still do your research outside of AI or outside of ChatGPT. But then again, you have like a guide. You won't start from zero. I guess that's what the most important thing that you can get is that you will not start from zero. You basically have a boilerplate that you can start with. So for example, this one. So it provided me build an ATS, build a recruitment and marketing solution or module, and then you have CRM for your candidates, and then onboarding, and then analytics. And then it tells you, hey, this is how you should structure your database. So I have jobs, columns, job ID, title, department, etc., etc. Okay, so that is a good start. Now, let me push that a little bit further. So what if I wanted to start coding now? And I can understand, okay, this is the workflow that I'm going to be doing. Create a SQL script in MS SQL for this table with this data definition. Oops, for some reason, it froze. I don't know why. Okay, there you go. So let me open my SQL. I hope you're not that bored for this one. So for example, I have an existing database here called Codev interview DB. And then I am gonna execute this SQL. So here, if I refresh this, there shouldn't be no jobs, I would assume. So no jobs table. So I'm gonna copy and paste that. So I'm literally just copy and pasting what ChatGPT told me. And let's see. So the script has been executed. And then if I refresh, so now you have the jobs table. You see the point? Imagine if there's no if there's no ChatGPT, what I will do is I will basically either I will write this myself, but I can't memorize everything, right? I can't memorize this. So what I will do is probably I'll go here, create table, perhaps, and then I type a lot. But with just a few instructions, I have a script, I execute it, it's done. This is just some great examples of how advantageous this particular tool is. And then let's go further. I wanted to generate an actual code again. So now that you have your database, what thing you would do next, probably if you're a backend developer, is you will create some sort of like a model, right? Like a DTO, a data transfer object, perhaps in the realm of um, in JavaScript, you have your, like if you wanted to get a data from the database, you'll create a class that will wrap that data. So what I will do is using this script, this create table script, generate a C# DTO class to wrap the data from the DB. So if there was no ChatGPT, what I will actually do is I will have to manually type and write everything. But right now, I don't have to do that. I basically have, ChatGPT telling me and giving me the class itself. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. Now imagine if I have like a table that has 20 columns or 20 properties. You're gonna be writing that all along. That's a lot of work. But of course, but warning, if your table has 20 columns, that's probably a bad practice. So that's wrong right off the bat. But what I'm saying is, if you have that a bunch, it's not gonna be very like good. So here you have your ChatGPT generating a C# class for you. Now let's go a little bit more extreme, because again, this is just a very basic example. Now, example, you wanted to integrate to an API, an external API, or maybe an internal API, and then you don't know the structure yet, but you actually saw the JSON object that it returns. So for example, if you have maybe you wanted to get a data from an external API, like maybe a geocode map, or like an information of a user somewhere that you wanted to ingest, you get a JSON object return. But you wanted to capture that and put it and then handle that programmatically. So what you will do is you have to go and study the structure of the JSON, and then you have to create a DTO to wrap that particular JSON. So how much work is that? I would say it will take you maybe 30 minutes. Just try to organize the properties. And then now you have to decide, and now you have to create the C# code, or like the class. So for example, I have this, it's not that large, but like you get the point. You have this JSON here. And if without ChatGPT, without AI, I will have to manually understand the structure of the JSON and then create and build a class for that. So what I can do is, instead of doing that, this will definitely shorten your time. To wrap this JSON object. I don't have to mind the brackets. I don't have to mind the nested object and stuff like that. That's actually one of the kind of tricky thing to do, because you'll have to read through how much deep the objects the objects are, and the objects are in the JSON. It's really a lot. So imagine you have this. Quickly doing it. Okay. So now I'm gonna move into my code here. So I have here I have installed a GitHub Copilot. So what I will do is I will generate code. One of the kind of great things about GitHub Copilot and these extensions is that it has a context of your code base. Once you start writing your code, it will suggest to you what could your intention be. The best practice is that when you start, you might wanted to write what specific like what is the intention of that code. So right now I'm in a controller, and I would like to write an endpoint that is going to be returning a job detail. So for example, like this endpoint, an endpoint that returns a job description using iJob service job with job ID as the parameter. So basically, you have given now chat like GitHub Copilot some sort of like context of what your intention is. So let's try to write something. Right off the bat, I did not do anything. I literally just opened a bracket. It already suggested to me this could be your endpoint. And then I love that endpoint because it's accurate. Now I'm gonna say public async task I action result, and then so did not write this. Basically, it just suggested to me what you should do. So it literally kind of, in a way, it's cool because you will think, and like you will think that it's as if it's reading your mind. So since I wanted to create an endpoint that is going to be returning the job description using iJob service, using with the job ID parameter, you have everything. Of course, sometimes you'll have to correct it. So for example, this one I have to correct, generate, but you only have to do some just little like small tweaks. And now you have it. It even created a try catch to capture the errors. It's just amazing. Next, another example is that an endpoint, it already suggested to me something that returns skill sets using iJob service interface. And yes, I still wanted the job ID as a parameter. Okay, now, again, auto-generated the code for me. Public async task I action result. Generated the code for me again. Did not do anything. I'll just do tab. Of course, it's not perfect, so you'll have to change this. Skills. Generate required skills. So imagine how much time it saved me. Although you can say, Clyde, you can just copy and paste, right? And then just modify the code. Yeah, that could be something. But what if you don't have something to copy and paste to? So just generates code really well. Now I'm going to be moving into some of its capabilities, the GitHub Copilot. So for example, right now, I am doing this. I'm going to remove this and, sorry. And then I'm not going to await this one. By the way, this is a asynchronous call. So I'm expected to actually like I have to await it, but right now I'm not awaiting it. And then I'm gonna say string test data. And then I have another return bad request here. I mean, this will still compile. It will not return. I think it will not return anything, I would assume. But in case you have a very large code base, so what I can do is I'm gonna highlight the specific code block, and I'm gonna say ask GitHub Copilot, and then I wanted you to fix it for me, and let's see what it will do. Right off the bat, it generates a code, and it's like Git. It's like your repository where you have changes. It will give you a comparison of what the suggestion is versus your original code. What happened? First one is that it eliminated the unused variable because that's bad. Just basically creates a memory allocates your variable, and it's not going to be used. So that's that's a mortal sin. And then next is that it awaited the asynchronous call. And then it also removed the bad request because the code will not reach this level because you have already returned an object here. And then the great thing is that it will actually give you a context, a comparison of what the suggestion is and what is your previous code. I'll go and click and accept. Okay. What else? What are other capabilities? Next one is doc. So it's also a good practice for developers to actually provide descriptions of their code, what it's doing, some idea about what the parameter is, etc., etc. So what I can do is just say, yep, create a doc for me. So it should create like code comments on top. And you might say, hey, Clyde, I'm not a C# developer. For sure. Even if you're not a C# developer, I believe the fundamentals of this one is pretty understandable. So, yeah, I believe this is something that you could work on. So here you can see that it has generated these headers, these documentations. So oops, sorry, what was that? It got canceled. Sorry for that. But you saw that right quickly. Sorry for canceling. I believe I clicked the wrong button. But if you have seen that, it basically created the comments and details about your function. That's that. And then also one thing that I wanted to try is that this one. Ask GitHub Copilot. This is not part of their not part of their commands, but you can actually ask GitHub Copilot to um, make this code block more robust. So, for example, if you have a very large function or method, and you wanted to make sure to really make it a little bit more robust, so context is, yeah, you might have to add some error trappings and error handlings there using try catch. For some reason, it's not. I don't know why was that canceled. Let me do it again. So the idea of saying that, hey, GitHub Copilot, make this function more robust, it will create a try-catch block for you. Let's just wait for a little bit. Let me use this one. So again, it's just canceled. I'm not sure. There's probably a bug. But as you have noticed, the try catch has been created to wrap your function and to make sure that the errors are trapped. So for example, if you have a function that does not have any try catch block and you wanted to do that, just tell ChatGPT to do that for yourself. And then one of the most important things as well is that unit tests. So as opposed of you, like instead of you doing your manual unit tests, just tell it test, create unit tests. So for example, in your company, if your technical lead or if your team lead is very particular with unit tests, use ChatGPT, use GitHub Copilot. Put your function there. It will create a unit test for you. So imagine this. It actually even suggested to create a separate unit test class for you. I'm gonna accept that. So right now I have my unit test here. So imagine if you type all of this. That's a lot of time, right? But again, you will save a lot of time using GitHub Copilot. And of course, there's a lot more functionalities that I cannot share everything here because, of course, of our time. So these are just some of the features that you can do in GitHub Copilot and in ChatGPT. So I guess that concludes my demo. Where's my... Okay. So here in CodeDev, actually, we practice this. We have created initiatives. The leadership team has created different initiatives to make sure that our developers are using the best tools, and Codev is investing in our skill sets. We have smart match algorithm. This is a part of our hiring process. We enabled AI to help us in matching your skill sets to our job openings. We have Team Sync Blueprint, basically ensuring that there's work-life balance using AI. And we also know that you are, for example, if you are overloaded and during your lead one-on-ones, and then you basically tell your leads that you're having issues, etc. This Team Sync Blueprint initiative will actually use AI to generate your sentiments, and it will create action items for your team leads to kind of go to you, and perhaps like, hey, you might have to take a leave, or just really to make sure that everybody is not burned out. And then we also have Codecraft Excellence, which basically, as I mentioned earlier, we actually are using the same technique in AI to provide you with this career path and learning path, because we really wanted you to be successful in your careers. And then we also use cutting edge tools like, as I mentioned earlier, Sonar Cube. We use that so your code base is really clean. We scan your code using AI and suggest you what are the best practices. So AI proofing your software development career. Obviously, we need to embrace AI. So use automations. That's just what I use right now. It would take me a lot of hours, or sorry, a lot of minutes, if not hours, to just write those code that I just showcased to you. And everything has been generated by AI. Find a continuous learning culture. Seek out companies and teams that, provide or support continuous learning, just like Codev does. And then get diverse exposure to really cutting edge companies, foreign companies, US based to Canada based companies. If you get more exposure, then, like, you'll have the experience in your fingertips, things that you might not experience if, like, you're working with local clients. Seek a collaborative, a global team experience. Look for opportunities to work in globally distributed teams to build collaboration skills. That concludes my demo today, team. Thank you so much, Nigel.
There you go. Thank you so much, Clyde. So I really love the last slide earlier when you mentioned, like, while AI is a little bit scary for some, but I guess since nandito na to, no, parang hindi na talaga to, we can't really stop it. So why not embrace from it? And also, is something that reminds us to strengthen as well our soft skills, like communication, problem solving. I guess is something that AI can't do in the near future. I guess the human touch doesn't go away. So soft skills is equally important as well as technical skills. And I guess like anything else in life, there will always be pros and cons. But on a positive note, in relation sa topic natin for tonight, no, exploring cutting edge tools like specifically AI, and also some techniques and insights from others, from your colleagues, from your networks, and so on, is the way to supercharge your dev projects. And with that, again, thank you so much, Clark, for sharing with us your experience and expertise. All right, so we are now opening the virtual floor for some Q&A. So medyo nabaon nata yung mga chat nyo dito. So appreciate if you can send again your questions. May mga questions ba tayo dito? Ayun, para from Jevon. So na-skip ko ata yung question ko. All right, thank you so much, Jevon, for bumping this up. So sabi niya, do we have an AI tools for software QAs?
Good question. As I mentioned earlier, although it's not directly for QA developers, as you see, I've created a unit test. So basically, there's a lot, and there are, I believe, a lot of kind of the bigger names like Tricentris, Cucumber, those companies that are building what do you call the QA tools have integrated AI. How can AI integrate? So maybe the question probably that's not the best question, because yes, there are. The question would be, how can you use AI in software QA? One of which, using generative AI, is that you can actually go to ChatGPT and basically, if you have a user story, For example, if you have a task, you have a user story that you'd like to that you'd like to test, you can actually share that information to ChatGPT and then ask what could be the kind of the manual tests or like test scenarios you can do in order for you to test a particular feature. So for example, I have a user management feature. You can go to ChatGPT and ask it, hey, provide me test scenarios and test plans that I should execute to make sure that this feature is well tested. So that's one of the things that you can do. Again, Tricentris, by the way, we're not sponsored by Tricentris. It's just something that I've used from the past by the likes of what else? Yeah, Tricentris and the other one, Selenium. They have their own kind of like their own use of AI tools that can that you can explore. Yeah.
Ayun. Thank you for that, Clyde. I guess it answered Jevon's rather sino nga yun ulit? Ayun, Jevon's and question rather. So ayun, we are not in any way sponsored by those AI tools, but
No, no.
baka naman in the future,
Bigyan
no,
naman.
Clyde?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baka
Bigyan
naman.
naman.
Ayun. So we have another question here, Clyde. So from Eric, I'm not sure if na answer na to sa previous discussion mo earlier. So his question is, what is IntelliSense? IntelliSense ba to or intelligence? Do you use in auto suggestion in your
Yeah.
code?
So initially my Visual Studio has its own IntelliSense, but I replaced it with GitHub Copilot. So now you have to I believe you don't have to do it manually, by the way. Once you install GitHub Copilot as an extension, it will automatically turn off the default IntelliSense and replace it with GitHub Copilot. So that's your IntelliSense right now. I hope I've answered your question.
Ayun. And then we have another question, Clyde, from Ornel. By the way, hope you won't mind us na medyo binibilis lang namin kasi actually
Yep, yep.
1 hour to, but yeah, but glad everyone is still here. So thank you so much everyone for spending your time. So from Ornel, so his question, Clyde, is there an AI tool that can observe how your customers interact with your application so it can suggest how to improve the user experience or the user interface of your product?
That's a fantastic question. So number one, so number one, you actually don't need AI to do that. You can actually do A/B testing. There have been existing tools. Again, I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by them. There's a thing called Google Tag Manager, which you can actually do. You can do A/B testing. So, for example, if you have like, and this is by the way very popular some marketing side. So, for example, if you have like a login page, you have one design and then you have your second design and you wanted to know saan yung or like where's the most engaged or where's the kind of the most traffic coming from. You can actually do that through A/B testing.
Mm.
So to answer your question, you don't need AI for that. So you can do A/B testing using other tools like Google Tag Manager. But to your question, for sure, if you go to I believe Canva or what's the Figma. Figma actually has AI capabilities to suggest UI UX workflows for improvement. So you can go and check that one out.
Ayun. Thank you so much for that, Clyde. And parang I recall din, Clyde, no, by the way, here at CodeDev, we highly value continuous learning. So we have some sort of we call it the tech tribe. So para
Yep.
yun yung ano namin. So we kind of had the same question, Clyde, no? And maybe if one of the things that maybe we can also help out see ano yung question earlier si Ornel is maybe can also check like for example like the bigs like Facebook and so on if you can see their UI and UX. So that's something that could give you some insights na bakit ganito yung ginagamit nila. So for sure may database yan sila bakit
Yes.
ganito ganyan yung UI and UX ng mga apps and so on.
There is a psychology there is science with that.
Mm,
The reason
correct.
why companies put a specific button on that particular position, there's psychology about it. Like
Exactly.
I cannot explain it further because I'm not really from the UI UX side, but there's actually like a very known standard for that one where you're studying our attention span, studying even the real state of your monitor and your
Mm.
like the direction of your eyes is really scientific. Like, okay, we cannot like for example, there's just very specific what do you call this? There's just a very specific measurement where
Mm.
our eyes can or like our
Correct.
vision can navigate to. After that, we don't care anymore.
Yes.
Like it's just crazy, right? Like if you think about
Mm.
that, there's really that psychology and physiology that
Mm.
has been integrated to it. And of course, with AI, it just blows up. Like
Yeah.
now in steroids per se.
Mm. Ayun. So psychology also helps on like the science behind it, the neuroscience and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Ayun. And I guess na-answer naman Clyde kasabi dito ni Ornel. Thanks for the response. Very informative. Ayun. Thank you as well for that question, Ornel. So what else? So we have
Sorry, Jel,
yes, Clyde. Go ahead.
I'd like to answer this one because this is very
Yes, go ahead.
important. What do you recommend for those who wants to use AI but are very concerned with with company confidentiality? Again, we're not
Yun,
sponsored.
that's really sensitive, no?
Yeah. So we're not sponsored, but then again, if if we post this somewhere and they will probably see this, use GitHub Copilot. GitHub Copilot actually would prompt you whether you like your code base to be used in their training or not. That's the so it's paid, but security is very important, right? So if you wanted to use that, I mean, if you're really concerned about your code base being used for training a model, then use GitHub Copilot because they have that option. The rest of the tools that I've used doesn't even mention it. So I'm under the assumption that they're probably using your code as model,
Mm,
especially for those free ones, because number one, why would they share it for free? Like like how can they generate revenue if they're like not asking for any cost? So idea is if it's free, it's probably harvesting your information,
mm,
just like the likes of Google and Facebook. It's free, but they're actually harvesting your information. So again, to answer that, use GitHub Copilot because they have an opt-out option.
mm. Yun, so at least there are some tools pa din, Clyde, no, that is, ano pa din, security is for the utmost concern. Ayun, maybe for the interest of time, Clyde, no, maybe we can entertain one last question. So we have
Sure.
here from Victor Ian or Ian. So when generating unit tests, does it generate ba for pass or fail scenarios?
If you wanted to do that, you just have to be very specific with your instruction. So if it's not generating pass or fail, ask ChatGPT very precisely that you wanted that. So in your prompt, um, include the instruction that please include pass or fail in your unit test.
Ayun. So hopefully that answered your question. So may mga additional question dito, Clyde, no? Pero for the interest of time, I guess that's it. But if you want to ask more questions with Clyde, I
Yeah.
guess feel free to chat your ano ba, Clyde, socials mo, LinkedIn, ano ba? Ano ba yung
My
mas free
link,
sa'yo?
yeah, my only socials is in LinkedIn. Reach out to me,
Ayun.
to my LinkedIn account. Or you can apply for Codev and then we can like and I can and I you can have my access and then just talk.
Ayun, sounds good, Clyde. So again, you can reach out to Clyde via LinkedIn, or you may want to explore career opportunities with us here at Codev. Ayun. So again, thank you so much, Clyde. No? So indeed, no, as what I've mentioned earlier, in this fast-paced and highly competitive natin na industry and career or profession, knowing how to maximize AI-driven development tools is a must. That is why exploring cutting-edge tools, techniques, and insights is the way to supercharge your dev projects. And with that, again, Clyde, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us your experience and expertise. So I am seeing here na hopefully my next time, yes, definitely there will be a next time on this. So from Francis, Austria, or we fondly call him Odd. So like us and follow us on our socials. You can see the links sa chat box para you'll be updated sa mga upcoming natin na mga webinars. And who knows, baka isa dito sa mga ano natin, paano ba, attendees natin, we might be able to invite you as well to talk and share your experience and
Mm.
expertise as well. Ayun. So, everyone or team, did you learn something from this session? Can you type YES, capital YES, if yes, if you learned something from this session? Ayun, perfect. So glad to hear that you learned something from this session. So, well, before we jump off in this call, no, can I request everyone to please turn on their cameras if okay lang. We would love to take a screenshot of this our first ever na webinar. Arn, are you there? By the way, Clyde, pa-stop share pala ako
Sure.
para maano ni Arn yung ano natin.
Yes, Sir Reg.
Ayun, perfect. So everyone, appreciate if you'll turn on your cameras para we can capture this moment. But rest assured, with our tech here, hindi naman namin i-ano yung mga names nyo if you don't want your names to be seen. So we'll definitely hide that one. So Arn, on your cue.
Yes, in the count of three. 1, 2, 3, smile, everyone. All right. I think that's it. Thank you.
Ayun, perfect. Thanks, Arn.
Thank you
No
so
problem, sir.
much.
Ayun. So again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And that ends our session. Enjoy the rest of the night, everyone. This has been your host, Nigel, and see you in our next session. Bye for
See
now.
ya. Bye-bye.